Alright, so I'm going to show how to replace the screen on this Lenovo Ideapad 700-15 ISK model 80RU. So the customer looks like they removed all the screws from the bottom here, but it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm not sure what kinds of screws they were using, but yeah, since they already took them out, I can't really say. Anyways, once you remove all the screws, what you want to do, open the thing slightly like this, and then there's a little gap here on the bottom cover and between the bottom cover and the palm rest. So I use my fingernails in that gap and I push with my thumb on the cover here and avoiding the trackpad, of course. So you just pull on it like that and then close the screen very slowly and gently. And then we're gonna grab this cover and kind of wiggle it as we kind of pull it up, okay, just like that. And that's how you remove the cover, all right? So just like that. Okay, once you do that, we're gonna have to disconnect the battery just to be safe. I'm gonna show some of these other components, but the customer just wanted me to repair the screen, so I have to kind of be careful. We're going to take out the battery here, so using a PH1 or JIS1 screwdriver, we're going to remove the screws holding it down. Alright, so there's one screw here, and it looks like 2 screws on this side. And this looks like to remove the thing you have to actually slide the battery over. So we're just going to go ahead and remove those 3 screws. Alright, once you remove the 3 screws, it looks like you push the battery over to the left. Actually to the right, sorry. So here you can see there's this little sliding mechanism. So you push it over to the right and then you can lift it up. Alright, once you lift up the battery, you want to be very careful, but we're going to remove this connector. And to disconnect that, let me zoom in a little bit. You kind of wiggle this connector as you kind of pull it back. So just wiggle it like this, okay? It's kind of stuck in there, but just kind of wiggle it. If you can, use your fingernails or pry tools on the wings of this black plastic piece, and then you can kind of wiggle it out that way as well. But yeah, if not, just use the cable like this and kind of just wiggle it as you pull it, just like that. And that's how you remove the battery. The battery model number here is L14M3P24, okay? So if you need the battery model. There you go. Here you can see the keyboard connector, the keyboard backlight connector. You got the trackpad connector here. Let's zoom out. You got an M.2 PCIe NVMe SSD here, it looks like. Let's see. Does it say? Yeah, PCIe NVMe. I'm going to open the computer slowly. After disconnecting the battery, you always want to press and hold the power button for about 10 to 15 seconds. And you usually will have to open up the computer to do that. If you don't open up the computer, a lot of times the power button actually doesn't do anything. So you do want to open the computer and then press and hold the power button. So the power button's there. Press and hold it for about 10 to 15 seconds. All right. Okay, this is very important, especially since we're going to be replacing the screen. Okay, so I'm going to close this slowly. You don't want to open and close it quickly because you're missing screws that hold the hinges in place. And if you open it quickly, you can actually crack the plastic that holds those in place. So the M.2 SSD, to remove it, you just take out the 1 screw. And then after that, you can lift the SSD slightly up and then you can wiggle it and pull it back just like that. I'm going to leave it in there. Okay. So we're going to put it back in at the angle like this. I like to squeeze the connector as well as the card so it doesn't push the connector off the board. Sometimes the soldering isn't good and then it breaks those, so it's a good idea to squeeze the 2 together. You got the CMOS or the BIOS battery here. To remove that, I'm not going to remove it, but you use your screwdriver and you just push it over. There's like a spring-loaded thing here, and then you can lift the battery out. Okay, then we got the RAM slots here. So I just go underneath the thing like this with my fingernails. You can use pry tools, whatever you want. And here you can see the 2 sticks of RAM. You pull these 2 tabs to the side and the RAM will pop up. Once it pops up, you can pull it back. And we can see this RAM is 8 gigs PC4 2133P. So you can get whatever size RAM you want, but usually to make sure the RAM is compatible, you want to make sure to match the PC42133P, okay? All right, so we're going to put the stick of RAM back in. Just put it at an angle like that. Make sure it goes in all the way, and then slowly latch it down and push it in place. All right, so now we're going to put this cover back on. There's an arrow here. I don't know if the customer took this out before. This could be like RAM that they put in there. But yeah, so you want to just line up the cover to go in between these little metal clips here, and then make sure it lines up on the sides as well. And that's how you clip it in place, okay? You just get it all lined up and then push it down. I don't know if the arrow was supposed to point that way. That's how they had it, because this thing is like slightly rusted too. You got the wireless card here. I don't want to mess with that because sometimes it's a little bit risky, but to get the antennas out, you just pull up on the tail like this, just pop it straight up. And then to put it back, just make sure the connector stays in place when you kind of put it down and move your finger around on top, and then you just push it back down. There's one screw holding it, and it'll come out just like the SSD there. Okay, they have this, I don't know why the fan connector here is so ginormous. Then you got this looks like the charge port or DC jack connector. Same like the other connectors, you kind of just wiggle it as you pull it, and then you can pull it out. I don't want to remove that since I don't need to. Got the speaker connector here as well. And usually it will connect the other speaker, but it looks like this one has separate connections for both speakers, so the other speaker connects here. This is the LCD or LVDS connector, so if you are going to open this and move this, make sure that you disconnected the battery and press and held the power button for 10 to 15 seconds. It's very important. Okay, then you got this connecting this board over here, so all the ports on this side connect with this cable. You can flip this latch up, and then you can pull this cable out if you're going to change the hard drive. This has a warranty sticker, so I'm not going to take it out, but there's 2 screws here, and once you remove those 2 screws, you can pull the 2.5-inch SATA hard drive back, and then you can remove the hard drive. You want to transfer over this metal bracket that's attached to the hard drive. If you are going to upgrade it, you can upgrade it to a 2.5-inch SATA SSD if you want. And yeah, usually I would upgrade all of these to SSDs. This is the main SSD here with the Windows and everything, and then this is just like for extra storage. If you want, you can change this to an SSD and migrate the OS there, or you can even upgrade this, whichever you want. But usually these SSDs are cheaper. The M.2 PCIe NVMe's are faster, so keep that in mind. Okay, so now we're gonna open up the computer. Again, do it slowly, gently, because we have the screws missing. And then we're going to go ahead and remove the front bezel so that we can replace the screen. Okay, hopefully it's visible. All right, so to remove this bezel, what you do is you pull up on the center, and then while you're pulling up on the center, you want to kind of pull the bezel in towards the center of the computer. I use my thumbs to kind of push it that direction while I'm kind of pulling up on the bezel. Once I get enough of it out, I can actually grab here like this, and then I can kind of use that. As you can see, I can pull it in towards the center. Okay, and then that helps remove the hinges, see, or the clips. Okay, just like this. Same thing with this one. You kind of want to like pull it in towards the center, and here you can see the clips come out pretty easily. There we go. So we got the bezel out. All right, now to replace the screen, you want a non-static surface to work on, because I am going to flip the computer down, or you can put the base cover back on after you disconnect the battery. All right, so we're going to remove the 4 screws from the screen here. Hopefully you can see which screws exactly I'm removing. All right, so this screen, the board here got damaged. Usually it's because it's too thin, and when you squeeze it, you can see it like flexes. So when you grab on the computer, you don't want to grab from this side, you want to grab from where the thing opens and closes. So you want to hold the computer from that end. If you hold from this side, the back where the hinges are, the hinges try and keep this from flexing, but then the center is flexible. And what happens is the whole board here of the screen bends like this, and that's what damages these screens. All right, so now that we removed all 4 screws, we can actually tilt the screen forward like this. Okay, if you want, you can lift it slightly up just to keep this cable from bending too much. And then I'm going to turn this around so I can work on it easier. All right. All right, so like this. Be careful with the webcam up there. You don't want to dirty the lens. Okay, so here's the connector for the LCD. Again, make sure that you disconnected the battery and held down the power button for 10 to 15 seconds before you do this, or you can damage it easily. I'm going to unroute the cable from that little hook there so it's easier to work on, and then I'm going to get my fingernails under here. You can use pry tools or whatever you want, but just get underneath and peel this adhesive up, okay? Just like this. You want to be careful not to damage that connector. We're just peeling the adhesive, okay? All right, and try not to, well, the board's already broken here, so, but if you're just taking out the screen and putting it back later, make sure you don't bend this board too much. All right, after that, you can grab the connector like this and also the adhesive here, and you can, I use my fingernails on the wings of the connector, and then I just use that to kind of wiggle and pull it back, just like that. Okay, this is the broken screen, so we're gonna toss this aside, set it aside, whatever you want to do. Okay, and we're gonna get the replacement screen here. Okay, so we got the replacement. You want to get the right. Don't assume, never assume that the model number is the same, because some computers they'll use different. So, but you want to try and match the model number to whatever your screen is. So this one has the model number NV156FHM-N42. This one is the same, but version 8. Okay, so I don't know if they don't have the version number on this one. But yeah, anyways, that's how you would check your screen model number. You don't want to just match the same screen model number as what mine is, because you never know, your screen might be different. Okay, so now we're going to get this connector, and then we're just going to line it up, make sure it goes in properly, and then you use this tab, this plastic tab sticker, to pull that connector into place. Once you get it pulled in all the way, then you can put the tape down. You need to make sure 100% that this is connected tight. If you don't have it plugged in right, if it's slightly at an angle and you try and power it up, you'll actually fry your screen, or you'll fry the backlight circuit of your motherboard. So it's very important that you have it connected properly. All right, now we're just putting the screen back up into place. All right. And then we're gonna put those screws back in. So let's zoom back out a little bit. All right, and now we're gonna put back the 4 screws that we took out, holding the screen in place. All right, and hopefully the screen will be in good condition. They did pack it a little loose, so I hope it's not damaged from shipping, but we'll find out once we try and power it up. All right, get all 4 screws in. All right, and then usually it's good to put the battery back first, and then test it before you put back the bezel, just so you don't have to do it again afterwards. All right, so now I'm working on it with the screen open, hanging off the edge of my desk. We're gonna put this battery back in, okay? So I'm gonna first plug the connector, and then use the wings of this connector while I squeeze the other end to pinch it together, just like that. And then this connector, just like before, you have it off to the side a little bit, to the left, or whichever way you have it, and then you slide it over, okay? Just like that, and then make sure it stays slid over, and then put the screw in. All right, get the other screw. Put that screw in. All right, and again, I'm not sure what screws they used on the bottom cover since the customer took them out, but usually it's either going to be a PH or JAS 1 or 0, or it's a T5. So the customer took that out, so I don't know. But yeah, all right, so now we're gonna power this up and see if it works. If you want, you can also clean dust off of the fans. There's some dust on the fan, so I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. And just use a toothbrush. Okay. All right, so now we're going to power it up and see. You might have to plug it in the first time. Okay, actually it's turning on without having to plug it in, so let's see. Should see the Lenovo screen, and we do. So we are good to go. I'm going to have to flip this so you don't see the whole usernames and everything of this customers, just in case some customers don't like their username being seen. I don't know where this greasy stuff came from, or if it was already on there. But anyways, their screen looks good now. Oops. Let me see if I can show the whole screen without showing their username. So here you can see their screen is perfectly fine. Moving it around, it's not going on and off or anything like it did before. Okay, so that's all there is to it. I'm going to shut this down and then put the bottom cover back on and the bezel, and then that's pretty much all there is. So yeah. Alright, well actually let's put on the bezel now while it's doing that. So the bezel is pretty simple to replace. Once you have it off, just make sure that these cables are following the right routing, like the way they were before. Oops, it probably showed the username. But anyways, I'm going to turn this off. Okay, so now what you do is you just put the bezel on. I guess now that it's off, I can turn it over this way. Alright, so you got the bezel like this. Just like before, or the opposite of before, instead of like twisting it up this way, you push the bottom in first, and then you rotate the thing into the middle, okay? So it's basically just reversed of what we did to take it out. So, right, basically you're lifting that and then rolling it in, okay? Just like that. And then the back, you kind of want to make sure to put some support behind it because it is like raised off the table. Alright, so make sure, and then you can also slide your finger over. Oops, you can't even see, but slide your finger over like that. Okay, and then make sure that you also snap in the front and back, or the bottom like this. You put your hand, you can't really see, but you put one hand behind and then you push it together like this, okay? So that way you don't put too much pressure on the screen itself. Alright, now we just close this up. And then we put this cover back on. Again, I don't have the screws, so I don't know what kind of screws they used. But this is very easy. You just snap it all back in, go around, and you are good to go. So now they just have to put the screws back in, and their computer is fixed. So hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like and subscribe. Help others find my videos. Thank you for watching. Oh, I remember what happened. They got something in it and then they sprayed it with like WD-40 or something. That's what that greasy stuff is. And yeah, so I'm gonna have to clean that off. I don't want that to get in their new screen and then cause some issues. So there we go. Alright, so yeah, that's all there is to it. Again, like and subscribe, help others find my videos so that they can fix their own computers as well. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.